or the one we saw literally in last game from Janus. If you utilize all of your resources up on high ground, no matter how many builds you have, if you aren't enough layers above that shockwave to actually get away from it and create enough room, you're not going to be able to maintain the high ground. A coordinated group of 3 or even 2 can be enough to ruin your plans. So now we're going to hop right on board here. Quick rotation out of the ruins. Matzo, Amplify, and ADN. They ended up actually getting a decent number of placement points thanks to a run coming out from ADN. I think they ended up placing 7th there. So nice little 21-point performance there. First elimination pushes them up to 22. That was Micking Up going down. And you can see they're on the hunt.
On the hunt, seeing that there is a wounded animal out there to capitalize, to convert into leaderboard points. And oh, poor baby girl, no one puts baby in the corner. And AD and Amplify Matzo do, and they are vibing and they are styling.
Looks like Jerky went a little early there.
The timing just a little bit off. So now we're going to have a very awkward and off fight at the moment right here. A lot of materials are going to be expensive. These are the things that you're talking about. You're just hoping, ooh, Atrox though, yes, he gets knocked by Jerkies, but you know, Jerk Sky has to be like, wait a minute, that is a valuable shockwave expense. I would have loved to be able to use that for an in-game. I would have loved to be able to hold that onto for a high ground retake. How dare you, sir?
Yeah, this is just, the whole thing is just an awkward fight going on in this kind of the southeastern corner. That Zeros is going to get taken down. Shakedown will come out. I think it's a 2 trios and then a duo on the side there who have all been caught in together, but fortunately going to be cleaned up there. Half Dumb getting some, not necessarily Half Dumb, those are pretty smart support shots coming over from the side, making sure he keeps his teammates a little healthy. But right now, Jerky has been the one keeping the pressure on it. You can see the other trio now trying to close in and get a little bit of pressure here. They want to be able to close out this fight. You can see it knocking down, identifying where that player is, but still not necessarily connecting on the shots.
So much expense already for this trio. Spiros coming in at a placement. I'm just going to take a look at their leaderboard. 19th in the earlier game, only 1 elim, so already to a better start with that second elim. There's another elim, 3 elims for this trio right now, and at least they got to feel good. These are the kind of confidence elims that you need going forward.
Clock it in, hope somebody goes and gets the contestation, but as we talk about it right now, hopping on board here with Patrick Head and Deceptos heading towards the covered bridge that is best known for the ambushes that occur up in the rafters, in the ceilings, and your ability to kind of block off the cars here. But right now, you can see they're just trying to push in and gain a little bit of real estate, blowing up the car and actually using the explosion to then get some key armor, and I think that was almost a white tag in there.
White tags is always a green light as Patrick is pushing in, and you're seeing this trio that already got 1 victory out in 2 appearances here in round 3. So they have it in them to get there as they get a both flues. Patrick with a nice peanut butter edit and squeezes in that shotgun shot right there to convert that into a knock. And now it's a matter of time before the rest of it. As you mentioned, Hen, one of the people that's been clutching for this trio.
It's largely fallen on his back, and you can see that with them kind of giving over the excess heals in the utility. But now we're going to swing back on board. Nicholas, Clement, and Floki over on that side here. This is KSI Light. We've seen a little bit of him. He was towards the lower end of the placements last week, and right now already sitting on 2 eliminations, both on the back of Floki. Clement's going to get the last one there, and that's all 3 going down there. Nikos being a void, being dropped there, so not necessarily a huge drain on their resources either. Nice little efficient fight going through.
Turn that goose egg into a golden goose as they are picked by Sundown here to walk away with a big performance here. It's just a fun time with the predictions as the fun time kind of continues as Clement will go ahead and switch to his POV as he gets a nice sniper shot and a knock. The quick follow-up with the blast of the AR. Some strong performance right here, and already the shakedown has begun. So now it's an opportunity with another flick of the wrist. Okay, Clement, I see you with the snipes and the flick of the wrist. Woo! Big time highlight happening here. Wanting to have the #1 spot for a week, but sort of the people out there are big fans of Benji, Savage, and Lecce. Know that most likely they'll qualify. Of course, we're going to wait till everything shakes out. And look at this aggressive play. The Metro Classic with the trio. And the Beast goes down. Kovac goes down. And Hen, Deceptos, and Patrick with the style elimination.
That, I don't know how I feel about that. It's very well executed.
It's styling. Yes.
They didn't have to do that. They got shockwaves off of that. They weren't guaranteed to get shockwaves off of that. And I think if you don't get the shockwaves...
Finally getting that recognition that Kinzel deserves, but what a very interesting trio that we're seeing. Kinzel, Wolfies, and CRR. I don't know, such a wild card trio, and already with 10 points here for the day, and it's going to be interesting to, wow, oh my goodness, X-Squeeze goes into the wrong box, and he gets greeted by some pumps, by some shots, gets converted, lobbied, at least his go-around. I don't think he's going to come back here, Sundown. There's no chance for a reboot, but wow, Kinzel, Wolfie, CRR, cooking up at the right time.
Which I think is something we haven't necessarily talked about. I think the in-game leader, or the IGL, is something that gets mentioned in a lot of competitive different games. In trios for Fortnite, that's generally the one calling the rotations, what layer you're going to be on. That's really, it's mentally taxing over the course of 12 games to be keeping all of that information going on, and particularly for some of these younger squads, when you're trying to manage 3 different players who are aged anywhere between 13 and 18 years old, it can be really hard to kind of keep that level of focus and executing at the highest level. I think that level of maturity is why we're starting to see some of these teams be able to rise up. As we hop on board there, Blaster and Alpha, Nikov taking some unfavorable trades in those boxes, going to be forced to burn through pretty much the rest of their excess utility.
And that some of that utility is the peppermints. They actually have 10 peppermints, was introduced here for the trick-or-treat holiday season coming up soon. It's going to be allowing that kind of works like a pepper for those out there who've never seen this item before. This peppermint allows them with that, woo, that boost of speed, and Blaster gets an elim on a big name, and Alpha gets Yanis. So already our trio that has done really well with the Victory Royale, Yanis and Andelix and X-Squeeze may be out entirely. We definitely have to take a look at that, but this is a team that came in 3rd place, guiding a nice Victory Royale because Alpha held on to the end.
Yeah, Alpha was able to just kind of play that rat in the maze on the lower level, and we talked about it needing to throw a monkey wrench in Reese's prediction. Well, right there, that was the full elimination, because if you think about it, Andalex caught the pump, didn't go into the down but not out, which means his other 2 teammates were still out. You only go into the down but not out phase if you still have a teammate who is remaining in the match. And one thing, I just gotta say it, I absolutely hate peppermints. As a candy, as a flavor,
Wow,
anybody who eats
hot
peppermint
takes.
ice cream, I legitimately have to ask you, why? Have you not had any other flavor of ice cream ever? That's like voluntarily choosing pistachio flavored ice cream in my eyes.
Let me tell you though, there is something to be said about the chocolate peppermint with the thin mint. Those are vibing. When you get the brown and green, you know you're going to have a good time, as Nikov, Alpha, and Blaster are having a great start here for the day here. Game 1 coming into 3rd place. Game 2 with a clean layer here as we go into our 6th zone. This is going to be a full rotation. But the issue they have to solve here is Storm Surge. Cam, you mentioned Storm Surge haven't had an opportunity to make an appearance here, but now it's going to put some pressure on Alpha, Nikov, and Blaster. But the pressure may be relieved for a temporary moment.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to find the elims right there. We also just now ticking over into those placement points, going to be picking those up now as we have our 17 trios remaining. We're going to get a pan out, and we see Letwick and Versa trying to fight it out up on the high ground. Jam side up there as well. You can see the utility being used, but J-Kai is going to end up falling short here, as now we're going to pan back to the front side of the zone. Don't forget, there's a number of players who are back in the zone on the high ground who are going to look to retake as now we hop forward. We can see on the low ground right now we're on board. This is Skype, Falcon Lee, and I forget the other one. I apologize. Stop making your names different characters.
Yeah,
you can see here. Yes, Yaxuo, that's the other one, as you can see on the front side of the zone. Thank you for the correction here, but desperate need of getting the correct utility and shields onto the right player as they're being pressured under 34 players remaining, and they find the pick onto Vato. That's a big one to Skype. Can they get the confirmation, as Vato had just ticked over Nikov, which means there's 2 players worth of loot there. They'll find the Shockwave, but he wants to be able to save that, wait for the server to catch up. The Shockwave is being used in a, I don't want to say lucky, but a very well-timed conversion there into the Siphon as the Shockwave blasted him out in the zone. You can see Sky on the lower end able to get himself back, but up on the high ground, Tayson and Mitro are still just raining down shots. Sky's trying to do everything he can on the front side of the zone. 26 players remaining, 14 trios up.
I wonder what happened to Mongrel. I think Sky picked up the Elim on Mongrel. Maybe that shockwave kind of blasted him out of sight like Team Rocket. But it is Mitro that is doing it really well, getting another Elim on height. Blackie gets an Elim, Nakos gets an Elim, Trainheart gets an Elim on Patrick. So this is where all the Elims are happening here. It is in-game as we're getting really close to that 9th zone. But the story is Trainhard right now. Skype and Falconry have to do this on that Jaxo. I'm sorry, Yasuo has to do it on their own, and they pick up another Elim. That is going to be a nice elimination for them. The question is, can they survive the pressure on height of Mitro and Tayson as Stompy kind of contested for a brief moment?
But that's such a waste of a shockwave. If you go, you have to go, and you have to go together. It looked like Stompy was trying to go alone, and instead it's just going to draw the attention of the 2 Titans up on the high ground. We've talked about it. Only 2 teams have made it to every single one of these round 3s, and Mitro and Tayson know how to close out these games. But right now, my prediction on the low ground, the French trio, Floki going to work, hits up a huge shot there onto ZQ, ducks back into the zone, will end up missing the pump upgrade, but finds a number of shockwaves, so he's going to be more than happy with that as they continue fighting hip to hip. However, ADN, you see him on the Elim feed, so you can expect him to be on a low ground layer nearby as well. And Sancho, they have 12 eliminations right now.
Man, the eliminations are just racking up on the low ground. We're seeing the power, the new meta of just racking up Elims on the low ground, doing really well. It is the 9th zone. It is closing time as Tayson picks up another Elim. So they're looking to close this out already on top of the board in terms of serious communication points. But Floki, gets me stumbled as he gets a nice elimination as well. This is going over water, Sundown. This is going to be very interesting how it all unfolds.
And right now you can see he's trying to tarp out aggressively. They have the 3v2 advantage. Mongrel has gone down early. It is just Tayson and Mitro. However, using the Tuxedos together, and there's the late shockwave, and he's aggressively going to use the shockwave to send them out into the zone. However, I don't know if they had the HP advantage before going to do that. The fight you need to keep an eye on. Mitro is down. It's a 1v1 in the side. Tayson ends up getting taken down by Floki right at the end, and it's all on the back of Floki. 8 Elims for him.
We'll take a look here. So this now does put them in first place. So do take a look. They had nothing before this, right? Finding the 16 eliminations.
Amazing. Past that, though, all the way to 10th place. We have a little bit of upgrades from that top 15 we saw before.